10.8 plus 3.9 plus 31% plus 28%. What do these numbers mean? That's a great question and exactly what we're going to talk about right here in the video, so let's get right into it. All right, now in this video, I do want to share with you some details of a couple new reports that were released and what all of this means going forward. Now, as I do share this information with you, you might be wondering, why are you sharing this with us and what does this mean for us? Again, another good question and exactly what I will talk about in just a couple minutes, because all of this is going to give us a better indication as to what is likely to come here over the coming months. So let's get into it and talk through all the details and, of course, all these numbers and the full explanation as for why they're so important. However, really fast before we do, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe by hitting the button right down below the video, as it's totally free to do so, and because I am your one and only daily advocate. Not only that, because we are rapidly approaching 500,000 subscribers right here on the channel, which is absolutely amazing, and I truly appreciate each and every one of you and your continued support, as I am here for you every single day, no matter what, to keep you updated with everything going on, and of course, to work through all of these details as things are changing so incredibly fast. It's a very busy, confusing, and uncertain time, but no matter what, I'm here for you every single day. So again, please subscribe down below if you haven't done so, and let's get into it and talk about all these numbers, what they mean, and why they give us an indication as to the future here over the coming months, and again, how this is going to impact all of us going forward. All right, so let's buzz through all these numbers. There's a lot of numbers here. In fact, all the numbers that I gave you, those are just some of them. I'm going to be sharing with you even more numbers as we talk through all these details. All right, so let me buzz through these quickly because I want to lay the groundwork quickly here so we can clearly see what these numbers mean, and then I will give you the explanation as far as why we want to watch these numbers and what they actually mean for all of us going forward, okay? So like I said, as I work through these numbers, you might be thinking, seriously, why are you sharing this with us? But again, stick with me here, and I'll explain all the details why we want to watch these numbers going forward. All right, so couple reports here. Number one, the first number I want to share with you is 10.8 million. What does that mean? It simply means that there was a report that was released showing last month alone there were 10.8 million job openings here in the United States. This is the 20th month in a row that we've had over 10 million job openings going forward. So pre-2020, so pre-COVID times, the highest that we ever saw was 7.7 million in a single month, okay? We've been here 20 months in a row with over 10 million job openings, okay? Just keep that in mind here for a second. Now, the report also goes on to show last month alone, 3.9 million people threw in the towel and said, I quit. That's it. Okay, so that's a huge number as well. Nearly 4 million people, 3.9 million people quit their jobs last month alone. Again, keep that number in mind for just a minute. All right, so as a result of that report right there, it shows that for all of the unemployed people out there right now, there are statistically 1.7 job openings for every one person out there available, okay? So obviously we can clearly see that's not an equation that works, right? 1.7 1.7 jobs for every one unemployed person, okay? Just keep these numbers in mind here. All right, so now let's talk about the details of a separate report that came out showing 31% of people right now, only 31% of people believe that their financial situation is going to improve over the next 1 year. Basically what this shows, 69% of people believe that their financial situation is actually going to stay the same or worsen over the next 12 months, okay? That's not very good, okay? There's not a whole lot of optimism when it comes to a lot of people out there right now and their financial situation. Only 31% of people, less than 1/3 of the population, believe that their financial situation is going to actually improve over the next 12 months, okay? That's a lot of people, as in 69% who believe it's actually going to stay the same or get significantly worse, okay? Now also, 28% of people, so again, a lot of numbers here. When it comes down to it, these numbers, these statistics, as in the percentages here, 28%, 31%, 69%, again, you can clearly see here the vast majority of people are, not exactly having that much of a good time right now. 28% of the population believes that the economy is moving in the right direction, okay? Again, that's a pretty small number, only 28%. So that means 72% of the population believes the economy is moving in the wrong direction, okay? You can clearly see what's going on here, okay? So that's a pretty scary statistic right there. So with all of these numbers, what does all of this mean going forward? Now, again, I could sit here and keep going on with other numbers, more percentages, more statistics and stuff like that, but let's just leave it there for now. Now let's quickly discuss the details of as far as why this is important and why we care about this as far as what does this actually mean going forward? Here's what it actually means. Well, based on some recent testimony out of the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, as well as recent remarks out of the Federal Reserve and all of this detail going forward as well, we know that the Federal Reserve is going to aggressively raise interest rates going forward. Now, again, this just means it's going to cost us, the people, the consumers, it's going to cost us more money if we have any balances on things like credit cards, if we're trying to get a new auto loan, maybe student loans, personal loans, lines of credit, mortgages, literally any type of debt that we may be getting right now, it's going to cost us more going forward. Now, that is one aspect, and again, we've talked about that in great detail in separate videos. However, this also means that the clamps, the crushers, the wrecking ball, the whatever other metaphors we want to say here right now on the economy are going to get greater and greater. It simply means the Federal Reserve will continue to raise these interest rates, which will continue to contract and put more pressure on the economy going forward. Now, I know recently it seems like, oh, the economy's doing fine and all is great, all is fine and dandy, nothing to worry about here. You're right. That's what the economic data is looking like. It looks like, all's fine, no worries at all. Which, by the way, let me throw out one more statistic really quickly. The reports also went on to show that as of recently, the unemployment rate is sitting right around 3.5%. However, they project within the next, by the end of this year, so the next several months here, between now and the end of the year, the unemployment rate is going to increase to 4.5%, and we're going to lose 1 million jobs in this country in order to go from where we currently are to 4.5%. Now, is that a bad thing? As in, they didn't want that to happen? Well, it depends how you look at it. It's an unfortunate thing for all the million people that have lost their jobs. However, when it comes down to the Federal Reserve, this is falling right in line with exactly what they want. In fact, they're projecting by the end of next year, 2024, they're projecting an unemployment rate of around 6.5% to 7%. That's what they're thinking as of now. So that means millions upon millions of jobs. In fact, about 3.5 million jobs is what they're projecting. 3.5 to 4 million jobs are going to be lost as a result of this. Now, again, why? Why are we concerned about this, and why do we care about this? It simply shows that if all of this is happening, if these numbers are as strong as they are, as in this number of job openings, the 10.8 million, if we have 3.9 million people quitting their jobs and things like this, it means that demand is very strong in the marketplace. It means that people can essentially write their own price tag, as in their own wages. How much do you want to earn? Got it. Fine. We'll pay it because we're basically needing anybody to work right now, okay? So that's the leverage that employees have right now is they feel, hey, I can quit my job. 3.9 million people quit their jobs because they feel they can go somewhere else and get higher pay from a different company. So it means that there's a lot of leverage in the workplace right now. So with that being said, the Federal Reserve does not want to see this. They want to see a tighter job market. They don't want to see this much leverage out there because it means more inflation. It means more money being passed around, more money being tossed around willy-nilly where anybody can just jump in and grab some, okay? So again, I get it that not everybody is in the workforce. I get it that not everybody applies, that's out there trying to look for a job and things like that. I get it. But at the end of the day, when the Federal Reserve comes forward and raises interest rates, that impacts all of us, okay? So simply a lot of job openings, people quitting their jobs and things like that, and a strong, so-called economy right now literally means that it's all going to come back on all of us because as they raise interest rates, unfortunately, that's what happens is it impacts all of us, at least those of us that are carrying balances on credit cards, have personal loans, have other debts out there. Well, we're going to be paying more for that because interest rates will continue to rise. Well, as they continue to increase interest rates, it simply means that many of us will cut back on our spending. It means that many of us will probably, borrow less money. It means that companies, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, large corporations will borrow less money. It means less money flowing into the economy. It means that also economic activity will slow down and there will be a contraction that comes in as well. Now remember, all of this is coming full circle, right? So as we continue to look at all these details and we continue to see the economy contracting, a recession right on our doorstep, knocking on the door. As a result of this, we know that, what comes with a recession? Well, a major economic slowdown. And as I've said before in other videos, a recession is also known as a reset, right? They reset the system. So With that being said, I know that many of you here in the community have been wondering, what's the detail? Like, what's the likelihood of another type of anti-inflationary check, a stimulus check, some kind of relief, some type of relief payment, something like this along these lines? Again, good question. A lot of us are wondering the exact same thing. Well, if you are in the situation, maybe you're looking for something like that, well, the best thing that you might be wanting to happen is an economic contraction. In other words, basically just a slowdown in the economy. I know there's a lot of misconceptions out there about a recession. Many people saying, oh, recession is so bad. Well, it depends how you look at it, right? A recession could actually be kind of a good thing because it'll reset all of this inflation that's going on right now. It'll reset a lot of different things, and in many cases, it actually does distribute more money going out to the people. Now, again, that's not a promise. That's not a guarantee. We have no clue what this next one is going to bring, but it's certainly something we want to pay attention to, and you can clearly see here from all of these strong numbers and the strong numbers coming out of the jobs markets as of recently as well. We can clearly see that the Federal Reserve has a lot of work ahead of them, and they know it. The chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, has indicated that very, very clearly. We have no indications, we have no intentions of slowing down interest rate hikes, and we're likely going to continue raising these very rapidly over the coming months. Remember last year as well, starting in about March, they started aggressively raising interest rates through the rest of the year at a pace of 50 basis points and 4 back-to-back 75 basis point rate hikes last year through the middle of the year. And then at the end of the year, they wrapped it up with a 50 basis point rate hike. Well, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, has indicated they might go back into that trajectory, going even higher with their interest rate hike. So wouldn't be surprising at all to see them doing that yet again. And all of that at some point will kind of hammer down on this economy. Now, I know I've been talking about this for quite a while now, probably maybe a year, not even quite a year, maybe 9-10 months or so I've been talking about this. But the deal is, this will happen. It's going to happen. We all know that these aggressive interest rate hikes are not just going to slip under the radar and we're all going to be like, oh, the economy, totally fine, no big deal at all. It's slipping by for now, but again, this is all going to come in and this will all average out, okay? Everything averages out all the time, and it's going to be no exception here, okay? So that's what we got to continue watching for. And again, that is why we need to watch all of this, because eventually this is all going to flow back into the economy, and it's probably not going to be that pretty of a picture. But at the end of the day, it's going to reset all this inflation. It's going to reset a lot of different things, which at the end of the day probably wouldn't be such a bad thing after all, because inflation is still crazy high right now, and a lot of us are getting really sick of paying higher prices for literally everything. We just need something to slow this down a little bit. Either way, that is why those numbers are important, and I hope you found this to be a little bit informative as well as valuable, because again, I know that we might look at some of these numbers and the statistics like I shared with you out of the reports earlier, and we might be wondering, why do we care about this? This doesn't have any impact on us. I'm not looking for a job right now. I didn't just quit a job, or whatever it happens to be. That's fine. But you know what? Unfortunately, these reports speak to all of us. These reports basically are going to impact all of us. So that's why it matters. Make sense? Anyway, I'm here for you in any way that I can be. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, hope you're having a nice day. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so. Enjoy, have a good one, take care, and catch you again later in the next